Hey folks, welcome back. I have your latest home prices and insights for the City of Toronto for week ending October the 5th, 2022. I had an encounter this weekend with a realtor. She had booked a showing on one of our listings, and it's a half-hour showing. And 20 minutes into the showing, my client, the seller, calls me and says, Santo, nobody showed up yet. Do you know if they're coming? And the reason my client, again, the seller, is calling me is because it's husband, wife, son, and dog, and they get the home all, ready for showings, and they physically leave to allow the agent and their buyers to have free reign of the house to look at the home at their convenience without a seller standing over them. And it's the best way to show a home. So the sellers are out. Nobody's come yet to see the property. The time is almost over. So my client's phoning me saying, what's going on? Are these people going to show up? So I call the agent, no answer. I call back, she answers, and I say, listen, you're booked from this time to this time. It's almost at the end of the time. Are you going to be there? And she says, what's the big deal if we're a little bit late? I was like, what? Do you realize that the sellers are leaving the home so you could go see it? You and your client could go see it. Do you realize that you're booked between this time and this time? And then she says, well, I've got showings all over the city. Today I've been in Scarborough, North York, Brampton, Mississauga, and she's naming me all the suburbs. I said, but when you left the house this morning, did you not know that was your schedule? When you booked it for that time, did you not plan to be there at that time? She goes, well, I'm busy right now. I'm not sure when I'm going to be there. I said, what does your GPS say? Well, we got to make another stop first. I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen. You're not going to be there on time. You don't even know when you're going to be there. But she was upset. Like, it's my fault for calling her and trying to get her to stick to the time that she booked. And I got to tell you, it drives me absolutely bonkers when agents and their clients sometimes don't respect the situation of them going into someone else's house. We see this sometimes at open houses. Now, look, when you're selling your home, you obviously make some sort of commitment to open your home up to allow potential buyers to come in and see your home. That's a given. If you're selling, people are going to come in. You know that. But the buyers should still show some respect. The buyers and their agents should show respect for the time that they book. When they're in the home, they should respect the home still and respect the opportunity for having the privilege of seeing the inside of someone else's house. So if you've got kids, they shouldn't be bouncing around and jumping onto the sofas or the beds. You shouldn't be using the bathroom in someone else's home when you're there just to show it, to have a look. You should be on time, both agent and buyers. Agents, you got to lock the doors behind you. These are all just simple things to show your respect for the privilege of being able to go see a home. And it goes both ways. So the seller respects the fact that you're there, and you, the buyer, should also respect the fact that you're there. That's what I wanted to tell you today. Just show some respect for other people's property. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. Let's get into the numbers. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. This way I'll know ahead of time and I'll make sure my schedule is organized so we can talk about whatever's on your mind. Toronto real estate, it's confusing, has the best of us confused. I'll speak with a new buyer client, for example, and they know interest rates are going up. They'll say, interest rates are going up, so our affordability is a bit less, but prices have come down, so now's the right time for us to buy. And they're excited to take advantage of deals that they consider deals being out there. But then we'll see properties that they think about and boom, it's sold in a day. Or we'll see other properties where there's multiple offers, which is really confusing in a down market, or what people are considering is like, prices plummeting. How is it that properties are being sold in a day, or there's multiple offers? Or I'll work with buyers and we'll go out in the first day, show 3 or 4 or 5 properties, then I can't show them anything else for maybe 3-4 weeks later, just because there are no new listings coming onto the market. It's very confusing. I'm showing you numbers that are coming down, but the reality is the last 3 months, prices have been quite stable. They haven't been coming down, and it's opposite of the headlines that we're reading out there. It's confusing. Let me get right into the numbers, hopefully to give you some clarity, but it is a bit confusing out there. So here, City of Toronto, detached properties only, broken down for a whole year by week. Last week, sales went up. Everything went up. Sales went up from 106 to 127 detached properties sold. 32 of those properties were sold at $2 million or more, which is double from the previous week where we only sold 16 at $2 million. And if you recall, I was complaining about the 16, like, did we just, the default market, is that it? It is over? But this week it looks like it's revived a bit more. So 127 detached properties were sold. 32 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price is way up from the previous week. It's now at $1,632,000. $1,632,000 is 5% lower than last year's average sold price. So average sold price is 5% lower. Median price is 11% lower than last year's median price. Median price now is at $1,250,000. And again, this is just for the City of Toronto, detached properties only. So let's look at the dotted lines here. The dotted lines, that's a 4-week moving average. So, and this chart is for 3 months only. Now, we all know January, February, ancient history, prices were here, they're here now. But a lot of people have it in their mind that the difference is, we're still on that slope, and we're not. So here's a 3-month window. When you look at what prices have been doing, whether it's average sold price or median price, it's actually quite boring. There's not a lot of movement at all. And if you really look, the 4-week moving average kind of shows that average prices and median prices have been going up over the last 3 months. I know this is completely contradictory to everything you've been hearing out there, but that's what's happening right now. Here's sales. Of the 127 that sold, 35% of those sold at list price or more. Year-to-date sales were way off of last year's pace. Now, last year was a record-breaking year, but we're comparing it to last year. 30% fewer sales this year than what we sold last year. Listings year-to-date are 9% fewer listings this year versus last year. And that's from January 1st to October 5th. When we looked at active listings, they're up over the previous week, 1,312 active listings. That's as of the end of October 5th. And months of inventory. Months of inventory has come down. It's sitting at 2.4 months of inventory. We were higher before. Looked like we were going up into a balanced market territory, and it really felt like a balanced market. But right now we're sitting at 2.4. It's a little bit stronger than where it was before. We've had many days in here where the average days on market is 20-23. For last week, average days on market is 18. Here's Toronto broken down into three areas: west, central, and east. And you can see where the average sold prices have been going here. A closer look, here's West Toronto. 45 detached properties were sold. 8 of those were at $2 million or more, and that's double from the previous week. Average sold price is $1,374,000. Looking at average sold price, $1,374,000 is 7% lower than last year's average sold price. Median price is 11% lower than last year's median price. And if you look at the 4-week moving average, over a 3-month period, not a lot of movement up and down. It's been pretty steady in West Toronto. And months of inventory has been coming down slightly each week. It's now sitting at 2.6 months of inventory. And 38% of the properties sold in West Toronto sold at list price or more. Here's Central Toronto. 34 detached properties were sold. 20 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price is sitting at $2,491,000. $2,491,000 is 0.9, it's almost 1%, 0.9% higher than what it was a year ago. Median price is almost 9% higher than what it was a year ago. And if we go back 3 months and look at the moving average, because it's just easier to read than the peaks and valleys of the regular numbers, median average sold price has been going up. Median price has been going up over the last 3 months. And months of inventory sitting at 3.4 months of inventory. Average days on market has shot way up. It's sitting at 27. And only 15% of the properties sold in Central Toronto sold at list price or more. Here's East Toronto. 48 detached properties were sold. 4 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price for a couple weeks now has been coming down. It's sitting at $1,267,000. $1,267,000 is 3% lower than last year's average sold price. The median price of $1,105,000 is 12% lower than last year's median price. But again, we kind of take a step back. We look at trying to pick out trends over the last 3 months. Well, the 4-week moving average is down and up. And for median, it's kind of steady, slightly down and then up again. It really, that momentum that we had from January or February of prices coming down, it's kind of sort of plateaued in a lot of the areas right now. And look at East Toronto, months of inventory sitting at 1.4, average days on market is 13. I'm working with buyers in East Toronto. It's very competitive for the good homes. Let me tell you, it's very competitive, lots of multiple offers. 48% of the properties sold in East Toronto, and East Toronto's East York, Scarborough, Leaside, all that area there, 48% of those properties are selling at list price or more. It's very competitive. Here's a quick summary. West, Central, and East. Again, East Toronto normally has highest activity. It's got the lowest average sold price, the lowest median price, the highest percentage of properties selling at list price or more, and the lowest days on market and the lowest months of inventory. A lot more action going on in East Toronto than any other part of the city. Let's take a close look at semis. 38 semi-detaches were sold. 9 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price has been going up over the last few weeks. It's now sitting at $1,246,000. So $1,246,000 is 10% lower than last year's average sold price. The median price of $1,148,000 is 5% lower than last year's median price. Looking back at the 4-week moving average, similar story. There hasn't been a lot of movement. It's gone down slightly, up slightly, not a lot of movement. We don't know if this trend is going to continue. I know what a lot of people are thinking, that it's coming down. Just wait, is what a lot of people are saying. Well, maybe so, but This is what's happening right now. For 3 months, has not been a lot of movement in prices. Months of inventory for semis is sitting at 1.7, and 45% of the semis sold at list price or more. Here's townhouses. 14 townhouses were sold. These are freehold townhouses. One of those was at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price has come way down. $1,120,000 is the average sold price for townhouses. $1,120,000 is 16% lower than last year's average sold price. The median price is 26% lower than last year's median price. Now, there's only 14 sales, so we take this with a grain of salt. High prices, low prices, they can really fluctuate and change the overall numbers. That's why we introduced the 4-week moving average, but the data is only as good as the data that you're using. So even the 4-week moving average, you kind of look at it and think, okay, you know what? There's only 14 in all the city of Toronto. So that's, it looks like it's going down and up. It's really hard to get an accurate reading for townhouses right now. Months of inventory, however, is sitting at 1.7. Months of inventory is not at that number there. 1.7 is not affected by prices. It's affected by volume. So how many are we buying? How many are for sale? That tells us the months of inventory. And right now it's quite low, sitting at 1.7. Condos. 166 condos were sold across the city of Toronto for last week ending October 5th. 18 of those were at $1 million or more. Average sold price is $749,000. $749,000 is 1% lower than last year's average sold price. Last year, we sold 51 at $1 million or more. This year, only 18. But the 1% below, the minus 1%, that's rounded number. The actual difference versus last year is that it's 0.5% lower than last year's average sold price. And the median price of $675,000 is 2.3% higher than last year's median price. So let's look at condos for 3 months. So it doesn't matter what happened a year ago. It doesn't matter what happened at the beginning of the year. What's the trend right now? That's all that matters to you if you're active in the market. If you're looking to sell, you're looking to buy, all what matters is right now, what's the trend? Well, if we look at the 4-week moving average for average sold price, quite steady for the last 3 months, and actually for the last month and a half or so, it's gone up a little bit. Looking at the median price, it's like a fraction sloping down, but you can barely notice the movement. Prices really, again, haven't changed much in the last 3 months. Here's sales. 166 condos were sold, 30% sold at list price or more. Year-to-date sales, we have 32% fewer condo sales this year versus last year, and 8% fewer listings this year versus last year. Active listings has gone up slightly. It's now sitting at 2,652 condos available for sale. That takes us to a months of inventory of 3.7. So getting up there, we're kind of sitting, we say that 4 is the line for a balanced market, but it's not quite like etched in stone where boom, you hit 4 and now we're in a balanced market. That's the number that we have, but 3.7, you're right there. You're right at the door. It feels very much like a balanced market out there when it comes to condos especially. Average days on market is sitting at 24. Here's a summary of the months of inventory. You've got detached down, semis and towns are up, condos months of inventory increased over the previous week. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.